Welcome back to Flower Power, a baking podcast with two 20-somethings just waffling through our 20s together.
Each episode, we choose a recipe to make together despite being over 150 miles away from each other.
Today, we're making fridge bars or Rocky Road. Basically, chocolate, marshmallows and digestives.
Dream combo.
That's what we're making, with no oven, because we thought we'd be a bit more creative. And therefore, I think it'll be useful for people who maybe don't cook as often. I mean, it doesn't require any specialist equipment. You need something to bash biscuits up and a pot to melt things, and that's it.
Yep, it's easy peasy, fuss-free, and yeah, you got a little bit of waiting to do, but my goodness, trust us, it's worth it.
While we're baking, or in this case, making, we're going to be sharing our favourite things that we found recently. That could be a recipe, a book, or just something intriguing we've discovered, as well as sharing a little fudge up or two. Because we're human, not perfect, and we make little fudge ups sometimes.
Right, with that being said, let's get making.
And I cannot tell you how nice they are. Like, you have to actually try them because they are so good.
See, the funny thing is, I must have made these when I was super little, but I've never, I don't have any memory of making these. So this is actually kind of new. Normally I have trust issues with things like Rocky Road because quite often they will just add nuts to them in the shops. And so I just avoid it just in case. But the lovely thing about making it by yourself is if you don't like something, you don't have to use it. And something with this recipe is it does call for raisins. Personally speaking, I don't love raisins, and especially not when they're masquerading as something that could be a lot nicer, like marshmallows. So I'm subbing that out for this recipe here. I don't know. I personally don't love raisins at all. I know, Hannah, you quite like them, except not in baking.
Yeah, so I like a raisin on its own. Like, I love a little packet of raisins. I don't know why everybody might be an exaggeration. I don't know why we feel the need to put them in like cookies and brownies and like fridge bars, because like I don't want to be assaulted by a raisin when I thought I was having like chocolate and sugar. Like, raisins are nice and they have their place, but like not in Rocky Road, not in my dessert. No, thank you. I get people like rum and raisin. It's not my thing. I'm all good. Thank you very much. So I have also subbed out for marshmallows. And to memory, I don't think I've ever actually made it with raisins because I know I wouldn't have eaten it ever in the past. So our recipe, which is a modified version of the Hummingbird Bakery's recipe, will be on our website as soon as this goes live. So you're able to just follow along with us, do it with us, have your own, and see what you think. Please let us know. I'd love to know if you also love this.
Would love to know also if you have any particular like family ways of doing this. Like, what do you add in instead of raisins, or do you add raisins? Do you add other things as well? Like, how do you make your fridge bars your own, basically? We would love to know.
So while we're baking, or in this case, I suppose, making, do fridge bars count as baking? That's a great debate.
That is a fantastic debate.
We can get into
Why don't we get into this once we have got our butter going?
That's a great idea. But we're going to share our favourite things, a recipe, a book, or just something intriguing we've discovered. We also share our fudge ups. Now, fudge ups are affectionately named by us, but basically they are when you fuck up. And we do that all the time. And there is a lot of shame in feeling like nobody else messes up quite like you do. Like, nobody forgets to do their laundry as much as you do. Nobody leaves things in the washing machine for 2 days, and you do. And I promise I also do that. Or Charlotte does it. But one of us definitely does it.
I literally have a load of towels in the laundry right now that I probably ought to sort out. So, like, you've just called me out right there on camera.
We basically just want to share with you that, like, we're not perfect. Nobody is. How about we stop being so mean to each other? And, you know, in the process, it's been quite nice. Like, for us, it's been quite cathartic because now when we fuck up, we message each other and we're like, oh my God, you'll never believe what I did today. And it's fun instead of being shameful. And that's what we would really like to change in the process of doing this podcast, is that, like, you text your friends and you're like, oh my God, you'll never believe how I fucked up today. As a funny thing, not a shame thing.
I think it also helps, like, not only to reduce the shame when you talk, like, to other people about it, like that shame of like, oh, so-and-so, you know, didn't do something on time, or like so-and-so did this or whatever. But like that internalized shame as well. I know like when I mess up, the first thing I do is I start blaming myself and I start going, oh my God, I'm such a terrible failure of a human being, etc., etc. But honestly, since we started doing these fudge ups and like sharing them, it's become a lot more lighthearted. Like I don't internalize that shame so much anymore. Like, everyone gets bad days, but it's easier to like laugh and move on, or to like if something genuinely needs fixing, to just get on with the fixing rather than spiraling already. And it just, it gets going. It's a lot easier and it's a lot nicer really for everyone involved, especially yourself. Like, I don't know, I think we live in such a culture of shame. It's so nice to actually not self-shame and not shame each other for little mistakes that we make. Like, we all fuck up, we all make fudge up. That's human nature. Yeah,
Exactly that.
right. I've just added my butter and it's halfway through melting already, so I better hurry up and add my golden syrup. This is going to
Mine's taking a little bit longer, but I imagine it's because Lottie was more prepared, which is a rarity.
Yeah, this might be a
Normally,
first.
I'm the prepared one.
This might be a first,
but this time Lottie was waiting for me, and normally I'm waiting for her. So this is new and exciting.
Hey, who knows? This might be the first of many. I don't know. Like it's now 2025. Maybe I'm not going to be so late anymore. You never know.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Thanks.
I've known you for 22 years now, coming up to 23. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
However, on the topic of fudge ups, I thought we might get on with it, just because one of the fudge ups I've managed to do in the last week is that, for anybody who doesn't know, I have an ex-race greyhound called Ollie. He's very lovely. If you hear footsteps, it's because he's walking around the kitchen trying to figure out how he could get digestives off the counter. But he won't climb up, don't worry. It's just, he's trying to consider if it's worth the attempt. Don't blame him for that. But earlier this week, I decided to sit on the bed with him, and I was giving him kisses and cuddles. And so I looked down to give him a kiss on his head. And at the moment that I looked down to give him a kiss on his head, he also looked up and headbutted me. And in the process of headbutting me, I put my tooth through my lip. It started bleeding. It was a whole thing. It was awful. I was just trying to give the dog some affection, and it went really badly for me.
Oh, no.
I'm not best pleased with my performance.
No.
And I reckon he probably had mild concussion. And we were both just looking at each other like, oh my God, what have we done?
Oh dear.
Because we're both as ditzy as one another.
Okay, that is my golden syrup in. I've lost track of how much is in there, so I don't know whether that's actually however much golden syrup needs to be in there or not. I'm measuring this with my heart, which is my favorite way of cooking. And is often not compatible with baking, because baking usually is quite scientific. This, I think you can kind of just wing it a little bit, which is great. I'm also going to add in my cocoa powder now. And I'm trying something with this. So back at Christmas time, Hannah came down to visit me for a couple of days, which was super lovely. And we went shopping at the outlet shops near me. And we were looking at Wittars, the hot chocolate place. And Hannah saw a gingerbread hot chocolate, and Hannah loves gingerbread. It's her favorite thing, but she's not always so keen on hot drinks. And so I said to her, you know what? I will just buy this. We can try it when we get back to mine. If you like it, you can keep it. If you don't like it, I'll keep it. I quite like it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try making the fridge cake bars with this gingerbread, and we're going to run with this gingerbread tiffin theme, I suppose. And so instead of buying digestives, I'm going to try this with ginger nuts and see what happens. It's a very different texture.
That's fun.
So it might be that it breaks my jaw, who knows? But it might also be super yummy. So I'm going to see how it turns out.
I'm intrigued. That's fun. Yeah, Lottie didn't tell me about this, so this is a surprise to me. I'm kind of pissed I'm not seeing you for like another 3 weeks because I want that.
If this works out, I've still got more cocoa powder, so like I can make more when you come down.
Love that. So what was your fudge up? I mean, I know one of your fudge ups.
Oh God.
And you're gonna share.
Mine happened this week in the office. On Fridays we have slightly more casual wear into the office, although everyone kind of just wears casual stuff anyway. And I was in a little bit of a rush Friday morning, so I just grabbed the first pair of black jeans that I could find that were clean. I got to the office, all was right with the world. I got started with my work, yada yada. I get to 10:30, I take a little break, and I noticed that my jeans have two holes in very awkward places. And I've just been walking around with holes in my crotch for like 4 hours because I started work at 7:30. And so that was fun. No one commented, which is good. I kind of wish someone had told me because then I had to just pretend that my jeans weren't actively falling apart all day.
At least you noticed at like 10. You know, that's not so bad as like if you'd only noticed when you got home.
No, that's very true. I debated going to the shops at lunchtime and buying a new pair of jeans, but I think it would have been weirder to change jeans halfway through the day.
I mean, I don't know what I would have done either. I think I might have just like gone for it, to be honest. I mean,
I just didn't use my standing desk for the day. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit. It's fine.
I'm just gonna sit nicely here.
Sit. Yeah, nothing to see. Okay, so my this mix is all nice and melted. It's very runny.
It is. So now you need to wait.
Oh, no, you wait. Okay.
It'll be really, really runny. Like it'll be like runnier than melted chocolate.
Okay. Do I need to turn this off then?
Yeah, turn it off. You need to leave it to cool a little bit because otherwise, as I have learned in previous years by fucking this up, you don't put everything in straight away because what will happen then is that the marshmallows will melt. And you want them to melt slightly, but you don't want them to melt so much that they start to separate the chocolate.
This is why I'm glad I'm making it with you, because otherwise I would definitely have just gone, poured it straight in, and everything would have melted.
Well, we all know that I only know that because I've done it, and therefore it's fine. So this episode, we wanted to kind of... Our theme, I suppose, is all about slow resolutions, and this kind of has come about with a couple of conversations that we've had, and a couple of things that we've done recently. And, you know, it's January, it's the new year, there's this like, oh, you have to change your whole life and do everything differently, and you have to do everything, and you have to do this, and you have to eat healthy, and you have to go to the gym, and you have to do that. And like, it's nice to start afresh, but like, you need to do it mindfully, because if you do it in a rush or a panic or a state of frenzy, you'll struggle to keep up with it. If you put things into your system and into your routine that are so much harder because they're so different from where you've started, it can be a lot easier to give up. So therefore, we're going with the slow resolutions. That's where we are. So we're all about building gradual habits rather than the new year, new me mindset. So the idea that you can restart at any time. You don't have to wait for Monday. You don't have to wait for next month. You don't have to wait for payday. You don't have to wait for whatever. You can just wake up one morning and decide that this morning, I want to do things a little bit differently. This week, I want to just make sure that I'm being a little bit more active. So I'm going to get off the bus one stop early, or whatever it might look like for you. That's more than valid. And every step you take forward, no matter how small, will always count. So just like, don't beat yourself up about things. Like, slow, gradual things end up building bigger progress in the long run. If you take the same small step every day for 365 days, you'll get so much further than like jumping every day for 14 days.
Absolutely. Like, I've personally always struggled with the idea of New Year resolution because, first of all, people always ask you right at the beginning and then you're put on the spot. And I don't think on the spot very much, I don't enjoy doing that. And so it's never been something that I'd stick to. It's also the kind of thing that, like, it's very easy to get intimidated at the start of the year if you set yourself a really lofty goal for like a period of time that you can't really see into. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to go do an hour every day. And then you turn up on like January 2nd to the gym, and everyone within a 30-mile radius has had the same idea as you. And you go, oh, great, there's no space. And I don't actually know what I'm doing. And so that's going to immediately create this negativity towards this goal that you just set. And in the meantime, saying like, okay, this week I'm going to go swimming on Thursday, and I'm going to try going swimming on Thursday next week if Thursday works for me. If not, I'm going to try Wednesday. And working your way through to find what works for you. And then, once you've got your Thursday evening swim established, go, well, that's great. I want to go for a swim on Monday evenings as well. Let's see how that goes. And that slow build up also then helps you build up your stamina with, for this example, with swimming, but also just it helps you gradually build it into your routine rather than starting immediately and panicking. And I mean, some people can just go, you know what, I'm going to do the gym and I'm going to go. And they're very driven, very motivated, and they're very disciplined. I think, to be honest, I think a lot of people also maybe make that mistake of discipline versus motivation, and they think that they're both the same thing. You need both. Discipline when you're forming these kind of habits is much more important. Like, dragging yourself to the gym, even though you don't want to go because you know it'll make you feel better, rather than dragging yourself to the gym even though you don't want to go because you told yourself you would 6 months ago. One of these feels a lot nicer to yourself, and it's the first one. It's the first one. Be nice to yourself. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, and a good example on the fitness side of things is that this year I want to be more active. Now, I'm definitely a girly who likes the SMART goals and whatever other acronym you want to use, where it's like you make sure that it's measurable and achievable and like results.
Is it like specific time, achievable, measurable? I've forgotten how you spell SMART.
Well, you started with SP, so that's not. I think you got all the letters, but so I'm definitely a SMART goals girly, especially at work, because that's a really useful way for me to measure my progress and be very clear. Now, I've then in the past had the habit of them being a bit too overzealous with those goals and being like, yeah, I can totally go to the gym 5 days a week, which I can. I can. I, in the past, used to go 4 or 5 times a week, every week, without fail. But now, in this part of life that I'm in, where we have a dog, which is a commitment that requires at least an hour of input from me a day, and, recovering from a car accident that was 2 years ago, it's like I need to be more mindful about how I choose to go about these things, because otherwise I'm going to end up doing more harm than good. So I want to be more active compared to last year. So I will have an actionable target there. I wear a Samsung smartwatch every day, so I can see how many steps I've done, roughly how active I've been in the year prior. And that's what I'm trying to beat. I'm not trying to be at the gym 4 days a week or 5 days a week or running or whatever. I don't really care what activities that means I pick up this year, provided I just try something. It might be that I start swimming and realise that swimming's not that good for my back, or I don't like swimming because I don't like the effort that I have to do with my hair afterwards, which might be the case. I've never been a girl to care about her hair or getting wet, but now my hair takes fucking hours and I just don't know if I can be arsed. So
I mean, there's always things like swim caps. But additionally, swimming is like, I love swimming. I will just put this out there. It's fantastic, like low impact for your body. So it might be that that's exactly what you need. Equally, it might not work for you. Like, you never know. I like it because I struggle with things like running. I always have. But swimming, I've always enjoyed because it's less stress on my body. And so I can work with that and I can set myself much more measurable goals than if I'm just running on a treadmill and hating my life. Like, it works for me. I feel much more at home in the water. So I don't know, I'm an
And
advocate for it.
I mean, so do I. I love swimming. I've always loved swimming, but I
Mm,
don't know how likely it is for me to consistently swim, taking into condition the fact that like all the things I'd have to do with my hair before and after, the fact that I would have to come home and wash my hair with other things because I can't leave chlorine in my hair anymore. Whereas like I would have showered anyway, but I also wouldn't a couple of years ago really cared that much.
mm.
Whereas now I'm doing a really good job of taking care of my hair, and it's so much more curly than it ever used to be because I'm taking care of it properly. So the idea of then like giving that up makes me feel a bit odd, but I am going to try it. That is one of the plans. I mean, I don't have to get my hair wet if I don't want to. I can just be, wise about it.
Yeah, like
So that's
swim
one of the
caps,
considerations. Exactly.
Yeah,
Or I just don't put my head under the water and I do breaststroke. It doesn't really matter as long as you're there and as long as you're trying.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's going to be eventually just a combination of different activities because that will keep me engaged. And I've struggled with the gym in the past because it feels a bit like too samey all the time. And then
Hmm.
after a while, I'm like, well, I don't really know why I'm doing this. Like, I'm getting stronger, but like, for what? Like, I don't know what I'm training for. And that's what I've
Yeah.
struggled with in the past. But I would like to get back to weightlifting because I used to love it. And since the accident, I've just like, my confidence is gone. I'm so scared of like making everything worse. I like don't want to risk anything. So like I wouldn't even try and squat something that I used to squat or like deadlift something that I used to deadlift without really thinking about it. Like I'm so much more aware of my body and nervous about hurting myself. So it's something I want to build my confidence back up in, but that will take time. And I want to do more like yoga or Pilates or stretching based exercises that I find are also kind of meditative for me. So that's kind of where I think I'm going to go with it so far. And I will check in with the podcast as we go. But I just don't want to put this year I'm going to go to the gym. No, this year I want to be more active. I don't care how that's made up, whether that means that Ollie and I go for a really long walk every other weekend, or however this ends up working out for me, but it's more of a slow resolution. If it takes me all year to get to some kind of routine that I'm happy with, then that's what I'm aiming for. It's not an overnight change.
And I think that's exactly the point that we've been talking about. Um, Hannah and I started something called a round to it list, tail end of last year for 2025. Now, the concept of a round to it is a family in joke of mine, where it was something my nana used to say, that like they were a very rare breed, round to it. So you could get square ones easily at the shops, but you couldn't get round ones. So I
Love that.
actually, one second. My nana used to have this in her kitchen.
I love that.
So
I absolutely love that.
I adore it. It's a whole family in joke. And so Hannah and I were talking last year about making something of like all the things that we've needed to get around to for goodness knows how long. And we wrote it all down, and Hannah made me sign it. And she didn't let me get out the car till I'd signed this.
I wrote
this
it like
document.
a contract, and but basically we sat there in the car, and this was after we'd been shopping, and it was a really nice evening, and it was like 1 a.m. And we were sat in the car outside Lottie's flat, and I was like, you keep talking about all these things you need to get around to, and then like lovingly, you don't do them. So how about we just write a list of them, and then you're going to sign this, and we're going to keep each other accountable for the things that we said we're going to do. We're going to do them. And so far, she's fucking smashing it, both of us. Because
we both are. Like, there's something I ought to add here. It wasn't just like my round to it. These are Hannah's as well. This was a joint effort. And like, it was things that we've both been putting off or things that we're a bit nervous about. And so we're basically A, holding each other accountable, and B, cheering each other on. And it's so lovely knowing that I've like that Hannah's got my back when I need to do these things. And some of them are hard things and some of them are just arduous. And I know that she knows that I have her back, basically.
So it means that we can keep on top of each other in a very nice way.
Mm.
But either way, our round to it list has been a very good place to like kickstart us having conversations about what we're trying to achieve in
Exactly.
our life, and
Yeah.
they're things that like we just like can't quite get to, or are difficult, or a bit more time consuming, or even something that you just like want somebody to hold your hand through. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm.
So it's really nice to have that support.
Yeah. Doing something big as an adult for the first time is a very scary thing, and it's really much easier when you know you've got someone like next to you, even if they don't know what you're doing or what they're doing either. Just the fact that you're both going like hand in hand into darkness together is so much easier. And I'm being dramatic there, but like it's just nicer doing something when you know that if you get scared, you've got someone there. Adulthood is full of lots of like big decisions and big journeys. And like there are so many more that we are going to be on. So it's nice knowing that when you have to do something for the first time, it's okay to be scared, and it's even more okay that you don't need to do it alone. That's something that
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach myself personally, because like I I've grown up with very like hyper independent parents who have then taught me to be hyper independent. Um, save for their loving smothering because I am an only child. And so all of their attention was just like laser focused on me. But it means that like outside of that, I didn't really learn how to ask for help when I was a kid and a teenager. And so now as a young adult, I have to learn how to ask for help. And I have to also learn that it is not as scary as up here makes it seem. So that's the other like part of the round to it list is these are also things that like Hannah and I have gone like, okay, these are scary to do on our own. These are scary things that we don't really know how to ask questions with. And just having reinforcements essentially just makes it a lot like maybe not easier, but like a lot more bearable. So yeah.
Exactly. I mean, friendship,
Mm.
camaraderie, just having somebody who you can like I can't understate how great our friendship is. And this is a very similar conversation that we've had many times in the last couple of months, and we both cried. So I'm gonna try to not make us cry on the internet. I will try. But the friendship that we have is so special. And like I hope that the people listening also have friendships like this. And I do have other friendships in my life that aren't just Lottie, that are also
Oh yeah,
equally
ditto,
valuable
ditto.
and different in their own ways. Just to like not be like, this is my only friend. I promise she's not my only friend. I love her to pieces. She's not my only friend. But the kind of relationship that we only have not only because of the time that we've been friends, but the work we've put in to deal with negative circumstances and differences and work through things. We've had some very different life experiences or similar life experiences, but at different points. And so sometimes, like when you're a teenager or very early in your 20s, that can like drive you apart from people because they don't get you. And we went through a
Mm,
little bit of that where we didn't quite get each other anymore, which was odd because we
yeah.
used to like basically finish each other's sentence. So
We
it was
used to
really
essentially be in sync as kids.
exactly. So it was quite difficult for us to navigate that, but I am so grateful that we have gone through not understanding each other and not being hateful or resentful or awful to one another, which is a testament to the fact that we've always cared about each other, even if we weren't on the best terms. We've always gotten through it, always. And I know that you're a friend I'm going to have for the rest of my life. There is nothing, barring death, that's going to take you away from me. So, like,
Absolutely.
it's a really valuable friendship that we have. And I think that sometimes friendship can be portrayed as this, like, magical thing where you, like, do pottery painting together and you do all these fun activities and you go for like a girly picnic and it's all cute and fun and lovely all the time, always. And it's just not. Like,
No.
we're going to be frustrated with each other, but like the working through it and continuing to understand each other above all else and listen has always meant and led us back to where we are now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we still do like the cute picnics and the pottery painting and stuff, but I think friendship is often portrayed as this sort of easy, no effort, you don't have to think about it. And actually you do, but it's less that you have to put in the effort. It's more like you want to, because this is your person or one of your people. Like, you put in the effort because it's worth the effort. Like, they are worth the effort for you to love them, and you are worth the effort for them to love you. You know?
Like
It's
1,000%.
Yeah. And that's absolutely crucial. Like, yeah, you can have easy, breezy friends, but to get something as deep and meaningful that Hannah and I have, that's taken a hell of a lot of work, but it's been worth every single step. It's been worth every single frustration that I'm sure both of us have had over the years. And it will always be worth it, because
Exactly.
that's who we are and that's who we've worked very hard to be for each other. So, yeah.
Precisely. And, you know, I wouldn't replace this for the world, because there are not many people on this planet who I can text and be like, I'm reading things in my gynecology book and oh my God, you need to know this, because why don't we know this about our own bodies? But this is coming up in a future episode. We're going to discuss
Yeah, exactly. That's a
gynecology and like sexual health and all of these kinds of things, because I've been reading about it a lot. So this conversation is coming. I will not bring it up right now, but it's like, stay tuned. I think we're ready to mix everything in. So I'm going to put my marshmallows in with my digestives.
Okay, I'm going to do that with my ginger nuts.
And I'm just going to mix those in slightly before I add in the chocolate. I mean, this looks yummy as it is.
Gone for very colourful marshmallows, and I love that I've gone for colourful marshmallows. Because, like, I don't know, I just felt like it, and they were also the first ones that I found. I went into the shop and I was like, oh, this is a really small shop. I don't know if they're going to have marshmallows. They did. They had a huge bag. I didn't need that many marshmallows. But this just means that I'm going to have really decadent hot chocolates for like the next like month or so, basically.
So I'm just scraping it all out of my pan.
Let's pour that in. Lovely.
And then just combining it all. This looks so good.
Yeah.
I have died and gone to chocolate heaven.
Quote of the episode.
And now the difficult thing is that we have to wait for these to set, and I'm going to hate that so goddamn much.
That's the only problem with this recipe, is it is unfortunately not instant. You do not get magical instant results. But I do also think that that's a very valuable metaphor for what we've just been talking about, where, like, you know, you have to take the time, you have to let yourself wait, you have to let yourself rest, and then what comes out at the end after that time that you put in is worth it.
And also, like, if you're living at university or whatever and you like don't have access to an oven, or you're a bit nervous about cooking, or you're like, it's kind of new to you, like, I genuinely think you could probably do this with a microwave, provided you like slowly and regularly checked the butter mixture in the microwave. So this is a very like low to no equipment thing. The only thing you have to remember is to like get all your fucking frustration out by bashing the fuck out of biscuits.
That's pretty much it, and even that's not like a hard thing to remember. I think I'm going to take a little picture of that, because it smells so good with the gingerbread hot chocolate. It smells really, really good.
I think this is going to end up being more than one tin for me, to be honest, and I'm not upset about it.
Oh no, you've made too much. What a tragedy.
Right, exactly. It's the worst possible outcome.
is having too much chocolatey, biscuity, marshmallowy goodness. Right, I am going to see what happens when I pour it in.
And the other thing that you have to do is you have to really compact it, because if you don't really compact it, it won't hold together, and you'll like cut it open and it will all just crumble, which is still delicious. Like, it won't change the taste, but you do need it to be a bit more like squidged in together.
You want it to be bars rather than trail mix, basically.
Oh shit, yeah, this is definitely going to need a second tin. I've got like loads left.
I think I've managed to make pretty much the perfect amount for this dish, actually. So I'm very happy with that. I'm really hoping that using the silicone sheet is going to work. I forgot to buy parchment paper, and so we're using a silicone sheet that I've never actually used before, because Hannah bought this for me just after my oven decided to explode.
Oh my god, yeah, I did.
We'd made croissants for breakfast, and the oven was not turning off. And so we just turned it off at the wall. And like,
did I jinx
I'm getting
it?
a new one. No, because it was already on its way out. You remember, like, the dial already wasn't, like, I already was having trouble turning it off, and I just thought it was just a quirk and I'd fix it at some point in the new year. And the oven said, no, you're dealing with this now.
It was a lovely Christmas present.
Oh, yeah. My previous house, the oven did that to me right at Mother's Day when I was supposed to be hosting. So that's fun. But anyway, so like 2 days afterwards, we'd been talking about baking sheets and talking about like more sustainable kitchen swaps. And this package arrived on my doorstep that was, interestingly, had my address and had Hannah's name on it. And I thought, that's interesting. And I opened it, and I think I might have messaged you in all caps because I was so excited, because there was a series of baking sheets, like silicone baking sheets, which I've been meaning to buy for a long time, like a little silicone baking mitt. And now, like, I got so excited about the prospect of using them that for a moment I forgot that my oven didn't work. But it has meant that I do kind of value the oven a lot more, having not had it for a while. And it's also made me think about the kind of equipment that I do need in my kitchen.
My recommendation was, and this comes from another like conversation of accountability and like having someone else you can message and be like, right, is this normal? Is this okay? Can I use this? Is that I got a lovely message from Lottie that said, the inside of my microwave is rusty. Does that mean I can't use it? And I was like, oh my god, please don't put anything in it. Like, no. So we were having a conversation about this the other night when we were planning out the episode, and we got distracted, as we usually do. And we got distracted on the topic of air fryers, because I have one. I've had one for a couple years, I would say, actually, now. And I love mine so much because, like, we're only a household of two, but half the time I cook by myself or eat by myself. So I don't need to make, like, loads of food. And the oven is, like, quite a lot of energy to use to, like, make 2 cookies, because I want some cookies. But the air fryer, I can make cookies in the air fryer, and I can only make 2 cookies in the air fryer, and it doesn't use anywhere near as much energy. So we started talking about the option of maybe getting an air fryer instead of a microwave, because my air fryer also like reheats things.
Let's be honest, I clearly don't use it enough if I hadn't noticed it was going rusty.
No, you clearly don't use it enough.
Yeah. I mean, this will probably sound very strange, but I grew up in a house that did not have a microwave. I had not used one until I was 15. I didn't know how they worked. I think my nana had once tried to teach me how to make scrambled eggs in the microwave, and they'd gone so dry that I thought, right, I'm never using that thing again. And I must have been about 6 at this point.
That's definitely your nana thing, because my nanny make the best eggs in a microwave, so that's not a universal thing.
No, I love my nana to pieces, but her taste is very different from mine. And so, yeah. Anyway, I didn't use a microwave myself until I was 15, and I tried reheating, like, cooking peas in the microwave for the first time when I was doing a summer school. And I cooked them for how long it said on the thing. I cooked them for 2 minutes in the water, and they came out and they were still frozen. I thought, oh, I should have just cooked these on the hob. Never mind. And so what's the point in having them if I'm not going to use them?
No, not if you'd use an air fryer more.
Most of the time I'm solo, and so it's easier for me to just cook for one. And it's quite hard cooking for one in an oven. You want to cook more, essentially, because you have more space. So yeah. Right, I'm going to pop this in the fridge.
Okay.
Check it off your bingo cards. We have an Ollie.
You've been very good. Sit. Good boy. Can I jump up? I do make him jump up at me on purpose so you can see him. Because otherwise, I think you basically just see a little snoot. Go on. All right, off the counter. Good boy. Good boy. That's my baby. That's my baby. Go on in. You've been very good. Good boy. I reckon you got a really nice out loud hearing of
Greyhound ASMR there.
Exactly. But I think it's about time in the episode where we cover our fresh finds.
I've been following a creator on YouTube for quite a while called Fujimoto, who is based out in Texas, and he does very chill, like easygoing recipes, mostly inspired by Japanese food, I think, but he also kind of just does a bunch of different things. And he's recently started writing these recipes down on his Substack, and I've subscribed to that, found this absolutely astronomically good soup that I made, and I can't stop talking about it because it was so good. It's his chicken gnocchi soup. I will add a link to the video in like the description box because oh my god, it's so good. It's just like I've been doing a lot of soups this soup season. I don't normally do a lot, but I've been expanding my repertoire, and I've been doing ones with like chorizo and Spanish spices. I've done like turkey meatballs. The chicken gnocchi wins. It's so good. It's so easy. I love it. So that's my fresh find.
And my fresh find is not sponsored, but I imagine like we've not had any sponsorships. I don't know if that's obvious by the fact that we've just started or anything, and the like slow progression and improvements that has been happening. So just thought I'd put it out there that nobody's paid me to say anything. But we started HelloFresh as part of the new year. Again, slower resolutions, eating healthier. I didn't realistically see us going to the food shop every week and buying loads of vegetables when half of the time we go to the little local Tesco, the little Tesco Express across the road because it's like 7 p.m. and we've forgotten that we might actually need to eat today. So I didn't foresee us suddenly going to like Tesco preemptively or thinking about all of the things that we needed to eat. And we have quite different schedules in this house, so that can make it quite complicated. But we decided to start and give HelloFresh a go. And it's been like really good. Like the food is really good. It's a really decent portion size. You get all the recipe cards and then all of the ingredients that you need for those recipes, barring usual kitchen essentials, i.e. they're not going to send you a little sachet of sugar. They're not going to send you water. They're not going to send you oil or salt and pepper. But like specific spices, they'll send those to you, and creme fraiche and everything else. And it reduces food waste by only sending what you need for the recipe, so you don't end up having a big tub of creme fraiche that you only needed a third of and have nothing else to use it for. So that's been really good, and not having to consider what we're going to make for dinner or what we need and do we have it, and all of those like things has removed so much like decision fatigue for me and my partner, and we're loving it so far. Like we'll keep you updated as to whether we keep it up, because the idea was to do it until February, till the end of February. So we'll see if we keep it going after that. But so far, so good. I'm just absolutely loving it.
It sounds amazing. Like I've seen a couple of the recipes that Hannah and her partner have been making, and honestly, they look lovely. Like it looks genuinely really delicious, and it looks very easy to follow. So yeah, Again, not sponsored, but I don't know. HelloFresh.
I mean, Lottie would love to try it, so if you wanted to like slide something our way, then something can go towards her. That would be great. Because I've genuinely loved trying things that I wouldn't normally necessarily eat, and I'm quite a picky eater. So me being like, I don't know if I like that, but I'm going to try it anyway is like a huge thing for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, Hannah, I'm super proud of you for doing that because, like, it is scary trying new things sometimes. So go you.
Woohoo, woohoo. So now we're going to do some fun movie podcast magic where we go away and do whatever we're going to do for the rest of the evening. And then we will come back to you in the morning when the sun's out and dust them in icing sugar and give our bars a try. So pop yours in the fridge, leave them, walk away, go and do whatever you want, go have some me time, go have a glass of wine, whatever it is that you need, go do that. And then come back to them later. They're the best.
Absolutely. So we'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back. It's been a little over 24 hours, and hopefully our fridge bars are ready for the big reveal.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, nothing's changed for you, but we've changed clothes, we've done things, you know, we're not interested in the movie magic of like wearing the same clothes again. So here we are, next day, ready to cut our fridge bars open. I may or may not have been unable to wait the entire 24 hours before we were recording the next bit. And because I had two, I cut into one of them and tried it. So I already know it's delicious.
Well, that's good.
But I'll get mine out of the fridge and we can have a look.
Ta-da!
Oh, you're so much better than me at like being patient though. So no one is surprised that you waited and I didn't.
Well, honestly, it was a near thing because I really wanted to try it when I woke up this morning. And I deliberately made sure to stay out most of today so I wouldn't just sneak into the fridge at one point or another. So, yeah.
Well, you know, I don't have that kind of resolve. So I've tried it already. I know it's delicious. And will, you know, I didn't even put icing sugar on it. I wanted to make sure that I did this separately. So I'm going to dust mine with icing sugar. Right, lift it out of the container. This might be the bit that, like, is difficult. Ollie is intrigued.
This is the moment of truth to see whether using a silicone sheet was a good idea. Hang on. There we go. And it came out in one piece.
Woo!
It is quite stuck to the silicone.
Well, at least we've tried the silicone and therefore we know for sure whether it's a good idea or a bad idea.
I don't know whether it was a bit of a risk, but it was definitely somewhat unorthodox. You'd use baking paper normally, but I did not have it because I forgot to put it on my shopping list. And if it's not on the shopping list, it doesn't get brought.
In typical Lottie fashion, she forgot something.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Notice the lack of surprise in my voice. Right. Just going to take that out. I'm just going to move this one out of the way and chop the other one up.
I will say though, Hannah, this time I at least didn't forget any ingredients because that has been known to happen frequently on this channel.
Yeah, we've had to do some substitutions on the fly.
Yeah. Hey, I always say, like, if a jazz musician can do it, so can I. And that is improvise. I'm great at improvising.
Right, Ollie, honey, you can't have this, baby. So you're going to have to move out of the way so Mummy can try it. The look of disdain I'm getting from my greyhound, I really wish you could see it. You can, like, just about see his eyes. Let me just... It's not for you. It's Mummy's. Yes. You can't have chocolate. It kill you. Can Mummy get to the cupboard or can Mummy go this way? I'm glad I tilted the angle for you to all witness the greyhound refusing to move, because that is just a typical trait, right? Go on, you go move. Good boy. Good boy.
Greyhounds, as I've learned, have two modes: unstoppable force and immovable object.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. That's a pretty good summary. He doesn't really do anything else.
Right.
So
are we ready to try this? I know you've tried it already, and I've just sneaked a bit of biscuit that, well, it made a break for it, so I had to eat it, you know. It's just the way of the world.
yeah,
Let's
let's
give it a taste. Look at this.
give it a go.
That is actually really quite beautiful to look at. Love it. Hannah, I have to make this for you. Oh, it's so good. It's all like gingerbready and crunchy. Oh, this is great.
The problem with this particular sweet treat, it's so Moorish. You finish a slice and you're like,
Yeah,
have one
it's
more.
dangerously good. So notes from mine. Ginger biscuits, like ginger nuts, work really nicely. Flavored hot chocolate, like cocoa powder, works really nicely. And I will absolutely be making these again in the near future.
I forgot how easy this was to do.
I know. These also are not coming with me to the office, so my apologies to my colleagues. This is all mine.
I will be eating this by myself. Thank you very much. While Lottie finishes her mouthful, I thought it might be a good idea to implement in our episodes going forwards our final takeaways. So this is just a section where we will quickly cover 2 or 3, maybe 4 bullet points at most of our main things that we want you to take away from this episode. So for this episode, slower self-improvement is more likely to be successful and habit-forming. Finding someone who can hold you accountable, if you can, is invaluable. Or make your own round to it list and share it with us. We'll have a template for this on our website. Be kind to yourself. Change is hard and it takes time. Being cruel to yourself won't make anything easier, better, or more likely to happen. In fact, a positive attitude is more likely to make you succeed than a negative one.
Couldn't have put it better myself, mostly because I flubbed my lines. It's so hard to be nice to yourself sometimes, but it is honestly the best thing you can do is just give yourself that virtual hug that you really, really need. And be gentle with yourself, okay? Like, we go through enough shit as it is throughout life. You don't need to give yourself more shit.
And with that all said, I will let Lottie lead us on to our outro.
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram at flower_power_podcast. We post on there semi-regularly. We also have a website where you'll find all the episode transcripts and all the recipes that we use, and any particular notes that we have. So if we mess something up during recording and we fix it later, we'll make a note of that. We also have little bonus things on there, so keep your eye out for that. You can listen on pretty much any platform you are able to get your podcasts on. So we upload to YouTube and Spotify primarily. We also have an RSS feed, and you can listen to us directly through the website if that works better for you. We have been Flower Power. I'm Lottie, that's Hannah, and we will see you next episode.
Bye.